Welcome to Fright Club Live at Gateway Film Center.
If we don't all get out of here drunk and or bloody, it hasn't been a fun night.
Tonight, a podcast discussion of teenage vampires and horror movies.
While there are things about it that I recommend, on the whole, it made me want to kill somebody.
And a screening of the 2020 film, My Heart Can't Beat Unless You Tell It To.
Feels like it's such a twist on what you would normally see from this.
Now, here are your hosts, Hope Madden and George Wolf.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And welcome back to Gateway Film Center in Columbus, Ohio. And there's so much going on. It's St. Patrick's Day weekend.
That's right. It's
So,
Oscars weekend.
Oscars weekend.
It's Friday the 13th.
Friday the effing 13th.
That's right,
Good
man.
Lord. If we don't all get out of here drunk and or bloody, it hasn't been a fun night. First of all, I got to tell you, I'm flying without a net. I forgot to make any notes for myself tonight. So I know. It could go horribly wrong or horribly right. In which case, I would never do notes again, which would save me some time. But it's teenage vampires in horror. But first, we got to say thanks for the last time out when we watched May.
May.
You guys loved May, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's such a great movie, and I was so happy to get to see it on a big screen again. And I love that movie so very much. So I was excited to get a chance to see it, and it was great to watch it with all you guys because it was a fun conversation after the fact, just to see what everybody had mined from that movie.
Yep, that's one that you don't run into too many people that have seen it and don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't think. We certainly like it, and appreciate that. So we're back at it, and is there any special story behind this category?
No.
Writing it on a napkin at Subway?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
no. This was one that came after they got a hold of the movie, and I was like, "Well, what haven't we done that matches with this movie?"
Yep. Okay.
So, and then I did land on teenage vampires, which is a fun topic. I mean, there's lots of movies to talk about there. So, so that's how that came about.
Yeah.
No fun story.
This is a good one. This is a good one we're going to show tonight. My Heart Can't Beat Unless You Tell It To. I know a couple of people have seen it. How many people have already seen this movie? 1, 2. Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Okay. It's really good.
It is. It's
and
so
really
good.
understated and a different kind of vampire tale.
Yeah.
So looking forward to talking afterwards, as always. Come down and we'll talk about and get your reactions, right?
Yep, and we're also going to show Joe DeVideo's short film, A Ride Before Dawn, which we saw for the first time at Nightmares Film Festival.
Yeah.
Just loved it. And we're very excited that he's going to that he is letting us screen it tonight. So if you have thoughts on that afterwards, as always, we'd love
It was
to hear
impressive.
Yeah.
Liked it then, and I know right away this was one that came up. Like, wow, that would be a great one to show.
Right, and we're also going to show a short little brand new amazing film from Tyrone Russell, and mainly it's because in it he promises there will be more, and this is my public display of that promise so that he can't go back on it.
Can't
'Cause
back out
there
now.
are so many few things in this world that make you happier than a Tyrone Russell movie.
Yeah, so we'll see one tonight. That is awesome. Okay, so we've got teenage vampires, and you've got a few honorable mentions. Ooh, one we were just talking about a second ago as we were setting up.
That's right. I think that probably maybe the first things you would think of are the Twilight series, all of the kids in high school, all of the vampires.
And the groaning begins.
That's right. All of the sparkles. I hated those when they first came out, and I felt like I was tricked into going to the first one. I had to review it for a newspaper at the time, and my friends where I worked, and I worked in a publishing company, so book editors, they all read that book, and they all loved that book, and I was like, can I just borrow one so I know what I'm getting into? Nobody would lend me the book. They all refused to lend it to me. I'm like, what the fuck? So I went in blind, and I'm like, oh, you knew I would mock you. I get it. Okay. But I think, honestly, as they age, they get campier. They're dumb. You know, they're fan fiction, sort of. They're aimed at convincing young girls not to have sex, I think, but they're really not. They're like the anxiety in the movie is that this guy who is super dreamy is going to fuck you to death. That is the underlying theme of the Twilight books. Is that guy going to fuck her to death? That's what she's hoping. I mean, I'm like, it's very sordid, I think, those movies. And they churned out a couple of great actors and one not, but that's okay.
Yeah, they were not. I think they just got worse as they went along.
Yeah, and then the last one with Renesmee.
Painful.
Yeah. But there were a couple episodes where they had mean vampires, and that was better. That was good. The ones that came in and killed people, okay, there you go. But on the whole, they're better than they used to be. And a dear friend of ours really likes them, so they got a nod today. Also, speaking of not really horror movies that are set in high school, Once Bitten with Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey.
Yeah. And Lauren Hutton.
Yep.
And she looks so cool in the ad, and she's got that great space between her teeth. She had the best teeth. So that's a fun one. It's stupid, but it's stupid fun. I like that one. Bit I put on here. To be honest with you, I was really, I had higher expectations for this movie. It was sort of promoted as very feminist and queer. And then by the time I finished watching it, I realized that, this was clearly written and directed by a straight guy who's really just peddling his own insecurities and fantasies here. So while there are things about it that I recommend, on the whole, it made me want to kill somebody. Whereas, Let the Right One In and Let Me In. The only reason they're not on the list.
Yeah, I really should have called Shenanigans here and put it on somehow.
They're 12.
Oh.
They're 12 years old. So they just missed the list. They're
Man.
12. But yeah, they're great movies.
They're so great. So great. All right, I suppose that's a reason.
And another one that because of just the age limit didn't make it is Near Dark. Because Homer, and they're not teenagers, and then the adults, they're maybe young adults, but they're definitely not in their teens.
Right.
The two main kids, although we love that movie. And what's the last one?
Yeah. Fright Night.
Yeah. Just the sequel, the remake of Fright Night,
Uh-huh.
which we both liked.
Yeah.
It got much maligned when it came out.
I thought it was fine.
Yeah, it was very good. A lot of the
Thought it was totally
performances
fine.
were considerably better than in the original. Like Toni Collette played the mom.
Yeah. Colin Farrell? I mean, shit.
McLovin was the new Evil Ed. That was pretty perfect casting. So
I
anyway,
thought it was just fine.
a lot of people hated it. We enjoyed it, but it didn't quite make the list.
Okay, but it got close, and so that means we have 5 teenage vampires, and we'll start with one from 1992. Flighty teenage girl Buffy Summers learns that she is her generation's destined battler of vampires, Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
You threw a knife at my head.
And you caught it.
The Slayer is unmasked. Let's finish it.
I think this relationship has potential.
Hi. How's it going?
Stab him in the heart!
Buffy, you're not like other girls.
Yes, I am.
Buffy, the Vampire Slayer.
I didn't even break a nail.
This, I'll tell you what, this has, you go all the way down, this cast is stacked.
Yes, it is.
I mean, all the people, and you were just playing your Paul Rubens video
That's
here before we
right.
started going. Paul Rubens is legendary in this, and you just go down from top to bottom, and it's loaded.
Oh yeah, it's got Hilary Swank. It's got the Affleck. Ben Affleck is
Yeah.
in this. Yeah.
Stephen Root.
Stephen Root.
Yeah,
is in
Ricky
it.
Lake.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Donald Sutherland.
Oh yeah, of course.
My
Al
Lord.
Sutherland, yeah, Paul Rubens and Rutger Hauer, who are just two of my just top all-time favorite people. So that was reason enough for me to be interested in this movie. They play vampires, which even made it better. And of course, in What We Do in the Shadows, there was this one episode where they collected all the vampires from all the other pop culture, and Tilda Swinton and Paul Rubens were both on that episode, which is the greatest thing I've ever seen on TV.
And there's a note here that at one point David Bowie and Mick Jagger were supposed to be cameos as vampires too.
Oh my
How crazy would that have been?
Oh my God.
As if we didn't have enough already. But yeah, this has become a cult favorite over the years. And the writer, the young Josh Whedon,
Yeah.
who's gone on to a few things.
Yeah, including a lot of shame and cancellation.
Yeah.
But this movie is, it's really a lot of fun.
It is.
You know, it's campy, but not in a way that is sort of idiotic. And I think the action is fun and funny. I think it's written in a way that it allows actors to deliver some great lines, and of course the Paul Rubens death scene is one of
great.
the greatest ever. In fact, inspired our Druncula death scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just it's just a hoot. The movie is just a ton of fun to watch.
Yeah, the tone is just right.
Yeah.
The director, Fran Rubel Kuzu?
I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know how it's pronounced.
Yeah, the tone is just perfect. You mentioned the death scene of Paul Rubens.
Oh my
but
God,
all really throughout all of it. Her reaction at finally understanding that she's got the calling, when she's finally convinced. Perfect teenage girl reaction. I mean, the whole thing just nails the tone, I think.
And I think it's funny that the film chooses a mean girl. Doesn't choose the put upon, bullied girl to come back and show her stripes. It chooses a mean girl so that she can learn to stop being such a fucking narcissist and do something useful. That was fun. I like that.
Yeah, that's a fun one. Definitely a fun one from 1992. Number 5 is Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Moving up to number 4, and I know this is one of Hope's personal faves from back in the day. When a recently divorced mother and her 2 teenage boys move to a coastal town to stay with her father, it doesn't take long for the brothers to realize the area is a haven for something much more sinister than party-going surfers in the Lost Boys.
Notice anything unusual about Santa Carla yet?
No. It's a pretty cool place. If you're a Martian.
Or a vampire.
You're a vampire, Michael. My own brother, a damn blood-sucking vampire.
Oh, you wait till Mom finds out, buddy.
When a vampire buys it, it's never a pretty sight.
Michael, they're coming!
This was the beginning of the 2 Coreys.
It was.
Their first film together.
Yeah.
And they went out to take over the world. Almost.
Yeah. This movie came out when I was in high school, and there's never been a film targeted more hard at me ever in history than this movie. and I still love it. I still love it to death to this very day. And I think part of the reason that it works so well is because as Joel Schumacher made, it's a great balance of this sort of, very hip and super angsty, teenage vampire drama, and then the comedy of the Coreys. And Corey Haim is actually really great in this movie. And his one lines are like, "You drank blood? Are you crazy?" He just delivers them perfectly. And there are a couple of scenes where the 2 brothers do have a nice lived-in sibling sort of relationship. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's the lightness of the Frog Brothers and Corey and his Rob Lowe poster that balance out the too hip for the room, but oh my God, how hot are these vampires side of the film as well. I mean, aside from Bill and/or Ted, those vampires are hot.
Well, that's
they are
the reason.
So good looking. Alex Winter, but that's
the
okay.
reason that Joel Schumacher gave for making the movie. He says, quote, "Vampires are hot. They're the only erotic monsters. Frankenstein is not hot," unquote.
Yeah, they are. I mean, vampires and zombies are sort of the same thing, right? They're dead. They're not dead. Watch out for their mouths. But one is living death, right? They're rotting and they're falling apart, and the other is death eternal, and they're sort of seductive. And this we were talking a little just before we started taping. We were talking about Interview with a Vampire and how sort of gloriously gay it is. But that all really started with the Lost Boys because, David and Michael, they had a much hotter relationship than Jamie Gertz ever had with either one of them. They were true. Just staring longingly at each other, and all of us were going, just do it. Just bite him. Would you just bite him, please? And it was, and of course, Joel Schumacher is one of the very few, especially in the 80s, very out and proud filmmakers. And again, that Rob Lowe poster, he was pretty clear that not everybody in this movie is straight, which I thought was super fun. And I do think that vampires have always represented sort of gender fluidity and homoeroticism, and a lot of times in a way that was sort of ugly, especially in earlier iterations of it. But I love the way that Joel Schumacher just owned that and was like, no, this is what we love about them.
And then it has that nice little twist at the end.
It does.
Did you see that coming? It was always fun at the first time you saw it. For The Lost Boys, number 4 from 1987. And that takes us up to number 3. Sees a teenager believing that the newcomer in his neighborhood is a vampire. He turns to an actor in a television-hosted horror movie show for help to deal with the undead, the original Fright Night.
What would you do if you accidentally discovered the house next door was occupied by something not human? Something horrifying. Something unspeakably evil. No one believes you.
Mom, I didn't have a nightmare.
Not your mom.
They did kill a girl over there.
Not your girlfriend.
Charlie, is this some sort of a trick? To get me back?
Not even the police.
Look, I know it's crazy. I know that, but look, Lieutenant!
It knows that you know. You'll do anything to protect yourself, but it will do anything to protect its secret. Fright Night. If you love being scared, this could be the night of your life.
The first one.
The first one. And you know, do I like this one better than I like The Lost Boys? No. Why did it get the nod? Because I don't really believe any of the teenagers in The Lost Boys are teenagers. I believe they're all 30. You know? And so I thought, this one, you know, they were actively in high school. And one of the reasons that it was such a powerful movie for me is because Evil Ed, my heart was broken for this kid. And I don't know that actor was actually in high school when he made this movie, but I bought it. I bought that he was. And so, you know, it is about high school kids. You know, you've got scenes in the high school cafeteria, and those are the ones who are being preyed upon, who are turned from nice teenage kids into vampires. And when I watched this one when I was a kid at Beth and Laurie Coleman's house, because they had HBO, I remember a couple of things that really jumped out at me. One was when the nice girlfriend, when she her whole face, her whole face is the mouth and the fangs.
Yep.
I freaked right the fuck out. But before that happened, when Chris Sarandon is like seductively dancing, I was like 10 when I watched, I was 14 when I watched this movie. And we were all of us like, oh God, gross. Because the idea of like a grown man, certainly a Chris Sarandon grown man in a sweater, seducing a teenage girl. As teenage girls, we were like, oh God, this is the grossest thing I've ever seen. And so those two scenes horrified me.
Yeah, not the scares they were looking for, but they got some scares. This was writer-director Tom Holland, who said the original idea came from wanting to do a cross between Vampire Story and The Boy Who Cried Wolf. Not everyone believing that there's...
Not Rear Window? Because this is clearly Rear Window.
No, he actually, in the interviews that I've read, he was mentioning that was the original idea of wanting to do someone who's not believed that there's vampires in the neighborhood. But yeah, there's just a lot of window looking. And the Roddy McDowall character, I guess, was originally written for Vincent Price.
Oh, I could see that.
Yeah, you could definitely see that. But once Roddy McDowall got the part, he decided to play him as more of a not the esteemed kind of an actor that Vincent Price was, but kind of a guy who just played one part his entire career.
Yeah.
And I think it fit. I mean, it would have been great to see Vincent Price in that part.
It would have been, but no, Roddy McDowall was great. He was really Roddy McDowall was great in this movie, and I just I loved. Even then, you know, this idea of being like a horror movie, you know, fanatic, and then seeing horror movies around you, but having nobody believe you because, of course, you're just a horror movie fanatic. And I thought, you know, as a kid, it really felt like, yeah, that could totally happen. And I probably would be wrong. I probably would have, because I think when I was a kid, I assumed that like 9 of my neighbors, you know, were burying bodies in their backyard. And, you know, I'm from Tiffin, there's probably only 4. But I thought that was a very clever concept, and it was really well executed.
Yeah, it was clever because the Chris Sarandon character he just always was kind of amused by it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you're no threat to me.
That's
I'm
right.
playing with you, you know, and it had a fun about it. And like you just mentioned about the girlfriend, some fun practical effects that came into it as well. Yeah, that was fun. And like we already said a minute ago, the remake I thought was totally fine.
Yes, we enjoyed it.
Yeah, the original. But is the one that made the list from 1985, the original Fright Night. That takes us up to number 2. The one we're going to see tonight, so as usual, we're not going to talk much about it, and this is from 2020. 2 mysterious siblings find themselves at odds over care for their frail and sickly younger brother. My heart can't beat unless you tell it to.
I don't think that I can keep doing this.
He's our brother.
He's sick. We shouldn't be doing the things that we're doing.
We can't do it without you. It has to be the 3 of us together.
Would you get me some blood?
So we've already established only 2 people have seen it. We all, as always, we don't want to give away anything about this movie. It's a really different approach for a horror movie, for a vampire movie. I love all of the performances so much, and I love how the movie sets you up to think one thing, and then by the end of the movie, you think something else. Again, I don't want to give anything away because so few people have seen it, but I found this movie incredibly impressive.
Yeah, it's definitely a different, a quieter, more understated take on a vampire story. So yeah, looking forward to your thoughts. Okay, so that's number 2. So we'll pass on up to number 1. This is one we've talked about before for good reason. When troubled teen Milo, who has a fascination with vampire lore, meets the equally alienated Sophie, the two form a bond that begins to blur Milo's fantasy into reality in the Transfiguration.
Have you been hurting any animals?
Maybe thinking, but I don't do it. Not anymore.
So you heard, huh?
No.
Someone killed a white boy in the basement.
So what are vampires like?
I think it starts with drinking blood. Like you have a need to. Eventually that's not good enough. So you switch to animals and people.
Whatever it is you're doing, there's someone doing a whole lot worse.
Why are you avoiding me?
Milo. We showed this one last year, the Transfiguration, and I love this movie so much, and that it's just so low key, and in that way so sort of believable. You buy that what this kid is going through, he's really going through. And I don't think you see films like this very often that it's not explaining anything to you. You're experiencing it as it's going on and you're piecing things together. The performances are incredible. Eric Ruffin plays Milo, and he's just perfect. He's so good in this movie. And Chloe Levine, who's in a lot of Jen Wexler's movies, she's wonderful in everything. She's wonderful in this movie. And for a second in the trailer, you hear the older brother. Milo lives alone with his older brother, who just sits and watches TV and never ever leaves the apartment.
It's awesome. I love that kid. It's such a weird character. You have to wonder about it. And then I love that line in the trailer. Whatever you're doing, there's people doing a whole lot worse. Because what's going on in the complex is like a bee story.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating. Of course, comes into play because of where people get offed.
But the thing is, well, I'm sure that he thinks that is wise and supportive. Nobody is doing anything worse than what Milo is doing right now. It's a lot worse what Milo is doing than what the other people are doing. So as supportive as he thinks he's being, he's not accurate. But it turns out to be just such a lovely coming-of-age film about relationships and outsiders and poverty. And I'm so sad. The writer director is Michael O'Shea. He's never done anything else. This is his first movie. It's his last movie. He hasn't done anything else.
Yeah, and I think that's the case with the director for My Heart Can't Beat Unless You Tell It To. Yeah, it's weird.
One and done.
Yeah,
so hopefully they both do something else.
Michael
soon.
O'Shea's debut, and he had said that he sent the film to Cannes on a whim, and it was accepted.
Wow.
So well done. 1 for 1. Yeah. What are you doing? Where you been? But this was a lot of fun to show because it's such a tender story with a violent underpinning.
Yeah, it always reminded me a little bit of Martin.
Where
you just can't help but sort of feel bad for the murderer, a little bit, even though you wish that they would stop doing that. But at the same time, it's hard to hate him.
And I just love how he considers himself an expert on vampires.
Yes.
The reality.
Right.
Look, and he brings up Twilight.
Yeah,
that it's not,
he does.
No, that's not the reality of vampires.
The reality of vampires. Yeah, it reminds me of we brought it up before, the time we were talking about the movie Looper.
Yeah.
A friend of ours who was also a film critic was like, that's not how time travel works. Oh, do tell.
I know. That's great. So the Transfiguration is number 1 on our list of teenage vampire movies. And man, we're right on time. This is great because we've got a movie to show, but you've got some details about next month.
That is right. And this has become a habit where I show you a picture and hope that this is what we're showing next month, which is happening again. But I'm really hoping that we have Excision. I've been trying to get this movie for like 5 years, and there's been whoever owns it, the distributor. There's been issues, and I think that we get it for next month. It's batshit insane. It's incredibly bloody. John Waters has a cameo. It's the most fun, wildest, weirdest movie, and our podcast topic is going to be involuntary surgery.
Involuntary is the key word.
Yeah. So come back for that one because it's just over the top and wild, and I just love it. So
Yeah, so fingers crossed. That is Friday, April the 10th for the April Fright Club Live. So that should be fun. Hope to see you then. Okay, well, we're like I said, we're right on time. Somehow that worked.
Yeah.
And we've got My Heart Can't Beat Unless You Tell It To. Looking forward to your reaction.
Plus 2 great shorts.
Oh, yeah, 2 great shorts. One of them by Mr. Tyrone Russell right here in the front. Yay. So enjoy those, and then enjoy My Heart Can't Beat Unless You Tell It To, and we'll talk after. Thank you. Good?
Yay. I'm glad because it's a sad one, so you never know how it's going to go over.
We got at least one oh hell no from Vernell, so that's
right. That's always fun.
On the oh hell no scale. It ranked. Yeah, that was a surprise there, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It is sad.
Yeah, it's a sad movie. And it's such a, I think, really tender and empathetic metaphor for living with somebody with terminal or chronic illness, which I think is why I find it so incredibly sad personally. And that last shot of Patrick Fugit, by the way, oh my God, I'm so sad that the kid from Almost Famous goes on to live this life. Oh no. He
finally smiled.
There's one smile in the whole movie, and then it turns to something else. It's a really beautiful ending.
Yeah, it reminded me a little bit of We Are What We Are.
Yeah,
in
for
the
sure,
struggle. Yeah. And the sister, the female, was the alpha in that family. You have to go out and you have to do it. What do you think?
Loneliness. It's all about loneliness.
It is, yeah.
And family.
Yeah.
It was a very sad movie.
Yeah, it is a sad movie.
Yeah, he was so desperate, so lonely, so desperate.
They
to have
all were.
Friends.
Everybody was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
But they were trapped in that existence.
Well, I think there's something, especially on this viewing of the movie. This is about the 3rd time I think I've seen it, and I love this film. That there's something about the way that Dwight and Jesse enable Thomas, and it's like how much of this. There's clearly something wrong with Thomas. The bloodlust, there you see the after effects of when he throws the paper airplane out of the house, and you see his arm, but it's very subtle.
Yeah,
and it's like, what's really going on with Thomas? Because it almost feels like it could be a secondary title of the film. And it's like, but how much you never really see anything truly sinister out of Thomas. He's more pathetic than anything. And it's like the real monstrosities you see out of Dwight, and especially Jessie, like her vindictiveness of like targeting the woman, the sex worker that Dwight was going to see. Like, that's the real, that's almost the more sinister thing you see in the entire film. There's just this overarching sense of like sadness and desperation out of everyone except for Thomas. Out of the entire film, and that feels like it's such a twist on what you would normally see from this. It would normally be flipped, that like the Thomas character would be so monstrous and he'd be forcing the siblings to do it, but that it feels like completely the opposite. It's like something's happened outside of the realm of what we're seeing in the story to have made them do this.
Yeah. It's Owen Campbell who plays Thomas, and he's always, maybe it's because this is the first thing I saw him in, but that actor always just makes me want to just hug him, and protect him,
Yeah.
Although he's in X, and he's Jenna Ortega's sort of controlling asshole boyfriend.
Oh my God, that's right.
Which was a nice change of pace for me to not want to protect him and hug him. But, I love the way, like Brandon said, they flip the idea of who's monstrous on its head. But I think, again, it's like this sort of idea of being committed against your will to this, it's almost as if the ill family member is parasitic in some way, and at the same time, you're judging yourself for seeing them in that way. I mean, I think that this film mines the sort of begrudging commitment to the ill family member in a much more insightful way than a horror dives into family illness a lot. Relic, we talked about Relic in our podcast earlier today, does it really well too. But I think this one does it in a way that is really empathetic to everybody.
And it's much more of you mentioned the metaphor, much more subtle, because you don't see the typical quote unquote vampire with the sharp teeth, and it's an illness, and we're not exactly sure really what it is.
Well, I don't have anything as profound as the other person, but I really liked the fucked up family dynamic that was like really shown. It was more of like a dark family drama, in my opinion. And let's say two sides of the same coin movie with like the happy ending version of that, I would say is Humanist Vampire Seeks Consenting Suicidal Person.
Absolutely.
Good call. That's a good
I
call.
love that. Yeah, if you'd like the same movie, but you want to be happy after it's over,
Like
that's
if you
the
wanna
movie
have
to
a
watch.
good time.
She's probably a teenager. She should have made this list.
Oh no,
that
it
should have made this
definitely
list.
was my petition for honorable mention.
Oh yeah, I like it.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I also just wanted to share an interesting little bit of like queer history that influenced like the vampire genre as a whole.
Sure.
So like historians have actually like tracked back and found that like the upsurge of vampire movies in the 80s specifically was a direct response to the AIDS crisis.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah. The idea of bloodborne. Yeah, for sure. Illness. Absolutely. It was.
Yeah, well, that's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good
I
call,
also,
good
I
call.
just want to, congratulate my own self, because if you come here very often, you know that the short films very rarely actually match the film at all. But today it did. And I remember when I knew that we were going to program this, one of the things I really liked about A Drive at Dawn is that there's no exposition, much like this film. It doesn't tell you what there's almost no dialogue at all. But you get the entire story from what you're watching. And it's also, I think, very, like when they bring out that toy, I just thought it was a really powerful short film, which I loved.
Yeah, and I love when the filmmaker answers questions that you have, because probably a lot of people had the question that I had. Well, just stay in the bag.
Yeah.
But then he holds it up.
He holds it
to
up. It's
show
one of those
you,
sort of
like,
hemp
can't
bags.
do that.
Like, no, it's
can't
not
do
gonna
that. Yeah, I love that.
You're going to get a sunburn. I'd get a sunburn with
They
it,
know
so
what
it's
your-
not going to keep that
They know what your
vampire
question
guy.
is and answer it for you.
Really great movie, a lot of fun. I kept thinking, well, in its own way.
Fun is where you find it.
Yes. Well, maybe this will explain my fun comment. It kept reminding me of a history teacher I had in high school who kept us in line by telling us violent history lessons. And he had this one that he loved to tell all the time about how in the Middle Ages, if somebody in the family wasn't right, they would take him to the tree in the yard and hit his head against the tree or her head against the tree. And I kept thinking, they have no trees.
They don't have any trees.
Wow. That's great.
Middle ages were really problematic.
And so was that history teacher makes history come alive or dead, I guess. Those are great takes.
Yeah, they are great takes.
I love that. And I like that, it went over pretty well, because
Yeah.
this is it's very slow.
It
It's
is,
very
it's a slow burn.
understated.
And it's brown. Like all of the
It
colors,
is.
and that
Yeah.
the Christmas sweater that's much too tight. Everything is very brown in this movie.
That was funny.
Yeah, it was
As
funny.
soon as he pulled it out, that ain't gonna fit.
No, there's no way
There's
that's
no
going
way.
to fit you. No. And it's funny because I felt, especially this time watching it, so I think it is my third time watching it, is I feel for the oldest sister. I just do. She is, first of all, she's such an oldest sister. She's absolutely the oldest sister. But, she's
They're
as...
scared of her.
Yeah, but she's as stuck as anybody is,
Oh, yeah.
and she feels the weight of keeping this kid alive on her shoulders, and she knows you're the one who can leave. You're not, you feel like, and you're going to, and then what am I going to do? And I like that the film, right off the bat, makes you just want to hate her. But there's the early scene where she first sings the song, My Heart Can't Beat Unless You Tell It to. You're watching some Soul Train or something. I don't know they're watching. And you see Patrick Fugit's character just look up at her like in awe. Like, there you go. Like, there's my sister. That's the person I used to know.
Yeah.
It's a very moving film.
Yeah, because there's the comments have alluded to. There's a backstory there that we don't know about. That man, it just the fact that we don't know it makes it just kind of sit in
when
your
the
heart all
neighbor
the more.
kid asks, "Where is your mom and dad?" and
Yeah.
there's just no answer to it, you're like, "Where's your mom and dad, Thomas?
Yeah.
What did you do?"
Yeah, and especially then when he drives him home,
Yeah.
is that your dad? Yeah. And,
Yeah.
Very.
Yeah.
It's very touching.
It is.
As well as violent.
Yeah.
A little violent.
It's a little bit violent, yeah.
Well, I'm glad you liked it. My heart can't beat unless you tell it to. Yeah. That's one that definitely, I think, slips through the cracks for a lot of people.
It does. And so we'll come back out next month, much different, like polar opposite movie, very, a lot of carnage and comedy. And it's not a comedy,
Action.
but it's got a lot of comedy in it. It's nuts, excision. And I'm just going to give you, so for May, for Mother's Day, we're going to show the coffee table. So come back out for that.
Oh, I know. Ryan's shaking his head up there. Yeah, we're going to go there. That's right.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
That's right. We've gone from subtle to traumatic.
Oh, I can't wait for that. Okay, good stuff. Well, thank you so much. We'll have this edited and up here on the channels very soon. And you can always catch up with us, Mad Wolf Columbus on all the socials, madwolf.com on the website.
And Ginger Nuts of Horror, our
Ginger.
partners. We're tardy with this, but our
Ginger
partners
Nuts of
in
Horror.
the Fright Club podcast,
Jim and the gang.
where you can catch our movie reviews, the Mad Wolf horror movie reviews, also a lot of great interviews and some great book reviews, horror book reviews.
Yep, love them. And of course, as always, the Fright Club podcast group on Facebook. So a lot of ways to keep in touch. We hope you will, and we'll see you next month. Until then, she's Hope Madden.
He's George Wolf.
And this is the Fright Club podcast.
Stay practical, my friends. The coffee table.